happening here as the veteran studies. So it's here, it's also down in a couple of the municipal offices down at the police station.
And the company's local?
Local, they're, in fact, they're a local small tech company out of here. We're also testing at the local hospital, thermal scanning as well. A different company. Green means, did you get that? Okay, you have to lower your mask, David. And if you don't turn green, you're going outside. There you go. Good. We're good to
There's
go.
kind of an excitement. There should be like a slot machine that goes off.
Well, no, we're so we put a bunch of partners together, and this includes our manufacturing association, which is they're about 10, 12 years old. We have probably 35 manufacturers that are represented by them. This whole area here is where entrepreneurs normally are.
You announced that many billions of dollars are going to be going out to help in the sort of during the COVID crisis. So, given that we're in Northumberland County, sort of how much of that should we anticipate roughly? I don't expect you to have perfect calculation in your mind, but how much approximately should come to Northumberland for assistance here in various things?
Well, we announced $17 billion program. About $10 billion of that was deferrals, taxes, and other things. So I know that that's something that locally was taken advantage of here. So essentially, the deferral of taxes here as well, people would have deferred their workers' compensation as well as a number of provincial taxes. So that would be the portion that Northumberland pays of that. That would have been deferred. In terms of the other supports, it's been largely around healthcare. And so $3.3 billion in total. I know we've made investments locally, both in terms of infrastructure and building out them, and I'll let Puccini talk about those, but also in terms of support on the public health side. Across the province, we put $100 million more into the public health system. Again, that has been utilized by public health operations across the province to make sure that they're supported and able to do the contact tracing and the sort of things we need. And then support, the electricity subsidy. That was saving about $300 per business, about $50 per family. Again, depending on the number of families, $200 per child in terms of parents with children, and $250 for special needs children. So there was a wide range of supports that were provided and are being provided. We are now in the process of looking at what we're going to do in our November budget. So we always said that was our first step. And I think it's been a good first step, particularly with the federal government. Obviously, we supported a number of programs like the rent subsidy program, $250 million from Ontario for that. We were just with a business person on downtown Cobourg who took advantage of that and found it quite useful. But the main thing is, right now we're trying to see what the businesses need to go to the next stage as we go through the reopening. Hopefully, we plan, if we keep on the right track, to be in stage 3 relatively soon, which would mean that more businesses could open, and that means that some of the businesses that are restricted wouldn't be restricted, assuming we keep the case volumes going down. So now the question is around what does the economy need to recover, and that's what I'm here with MVP Puccini and Mark.
And I would add, I think you can't just look at government's response in isolation to COVID. I think we set the stage pre-COVID, which enabled our government to respond much better. So for example, for infrastructure, which will be key to the economic recovery, we'd approved in 2 months after applications came in locally. Within 2 months, we'd approved those projects. Now, thankfully, a year later, we have approval from the federal government, so we're going to start seeing shuttles and grounds on roads, bridges, new bus system here, improved accessibility in transit. Locally here, on some of our big responsibilities, healthcare, we saw an increase in base funding for all of our hospitals, which allowed them to pivot. And I think that was an important piece that the Financial Accountability Officer highlighted. In addition, social services, $1.4 million additional dollars came here locally, which enabled the most vulnerable to ensure that they had a shelter. The county, myself, our Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, and a number of other community partners came together to make that a reality. So we stepped up to make sure that our healthcare system was bolstered and supported, our most vulnerable were looked after, we had deferrals for our businesses, and now as we look to recovery long-term, tech, innovation, agriculture, the minister's here, and I made sure he came to Northumberland in one of his first stops.
And that's what we've been seeing so far, a lot of those industries. Even just yesterday, we announced another $150 million for the most vulnerable. Again, this is, we're not through this yet. People have pulled together in an amazing way. That Ontario spirit has really been incredible. But we're not through this yet. The economy is going to be challenging. and we're going to have to keep supporting each other, and the government will be there for Northumberland and the rest of the province.
And of the 17 billion
Yep.
that is not like tax deferrals.
Seven of that.
Yeah, the 7 that
Yeah.
is tax deferrals. How quickly will that money be released?
It is literally flowing, I'd say most of it has flowed. The $3 billion in the healthcare system, $1 billion of that was a COVID contingency fund. So that is specifically to support buying PPE, making sure that the sort of testing, we've seen the number of tests going up, so making sure that those are funded and available. Over 20,000 tests a day now. In the areas, in terms of the support, the subsidies and support for children, that's been paid out. We also doubled the amount that goes to our most vulnerable seniors, $196,000, the GAIN subsidy, that's been put out and will last for 6 months starting in April. So it was really about getting the resources out as quickly as possible. And I have to give a kudo as well to the federal government. We've worked quite closely with the federal government. They as well have acted quickly to put money out into the system. And I think that was necessary. I mean, this is an unprecedented challenge from a health and an economic perspective. You have to have an unprecedented response to that.
Who have special needs.
Yeah.
And given how challenging some of those needs can be to deal with, is $250 really enough?
It's in addition, I guess, to the other programs, including doubling the funding as we had for families with autistic children. So there's a large range of supports. But that was a special recognition, particularly because people had children at home, that some additional dollars. Listen, the challenges that all families are facing are significant. The challenges of families with special needs kids, we can only imagine, those of us who don't experience it. So that's why we wanted to provide something extra. But again, we will keep supporting Ontarians. They've been doing a great job. Listen, we wouldn't be where we were in terms of the caseload is going down. And what was it today? 160. I mean, it's fantastic when you think about what's happening in other parts, even in parts of North America. That's because everybody's been collaborating and supporting each other. And so we'll keep supporting families. We'll keep supporting businesses.
So let's think about it. So we have 3 printers printing 8 parts here. And we initially started with another part here, but we modified the design as we went along. That was part of the process.
I've seen a lot of facials. I like this. We've got the barrier here, so you got here.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, the local hospital thought it was the best shield that they'd seen of all the ones that has been presented to them. So this was a design that was open source on the market. We used it, and we modified it to one modification to make it work for us. This was about 2 hours to print, and we had 35 printers going, so we were producing about 100 a day, and we connected with Durham College, Chris Daniels, their group. They were able to produce, they're giving us almost 1,200 a week. So we were...
Any trouble getting any of the other? There's an elastic.
Initially, we had trouble on every part.
Okay.
So we were always... I was sort of trying to get the production figured out, and it was my lesson in production. We couldn't get that ribbon. First of all, we went to the dollar store, and we emptied everything on the shelf and said, that's great. What do we do tomorrow? So then we were able to find some button ribbon like this retail, but we were buying it in 1.8 meter lengths. Well, again, someone could send me a bag of, they spent $50 and it was gone in half a day. So we were able to, with our contacts, to buy it in industrial quantities. So then that was an issue. But then the issue became shield. Shield wasn't really available. It was pretty well all shield in Canada was going to the U.S. So we were able to, with a local manufacturer, they spooled up production. It took a few days to get it going, and we were able. They donated Savic donated the shield to us for the whole project. And then with another local manufacturer.
Scrounger, he was always the guy who went out.
Yeah, yes.
We'd always find whatever.
It was nice. There was always phone calls being made, and stuff would magically show up. It was kind of nice. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.